Hey, what's up, everybody? Mark Price here with devslopes.com, and welcome back. We're going to do something really cool. So we're going to do some lighting and cinematics throughout this section and some particle effects. It's going to be great. So let's go ahead and start a new project. I'm going to click New. And we're going to call this Legend of DevSlopes. Dun 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 dun. Oh yeah, it's gonna be legit. All right, save it here. Great. Looks good. Very nice. We got a nice ugly game here, but we're gonna fix that real soon. We're gonna go ahead and import some graphics, as you can see right here. The Fantasyland. Fantasyland. I don't know if I like the sounds of that. Fantasy game is probably what I should have said. Fantasyland. I'm just going to drag it over here into the assets folder. It's going to take a minute, so you may just wait. You're probably not going to see anything on the screen, or you may. It just is going to take a while. When you regain control of your mouse in Unity, you know it's all imported. There we go. Imported. Okay. And so the sample level is what I want to open up, and we've even got a scene here, which is really cool. So I don't want to use this default scene, the untitled one. We're going to use the sample scene, like so. Okay. In fact, I'm going to change the name of it if it'll let me. Let's just call this game. Yep. Cool, and we'll call this the environment. Awesome, and look at that. That's pretty dang cool. Got this nice house here, two houses actually, and if we look over here, we got a little pond. Things are looking good. I can turn on the lights here in the scene, make it all nice and bright. This is a happy place. And we've got some runes over here. Now, I don't think it should be as happy as it is. I think we should have a little bit of darkness and, you know, some mystery to it. And so I think in this video, we're going to actually create our very first particle effect. We're going to add some life to this scene. And we're going to do that right inside of these Stonehenge here. It's going to be really cool. So let's go ahead and get the graphics that we're going to need for this. Let's go to the Finder here. Got some textures, right? And I should create a new folder called Textures. Very good. And we'll put them in here. We got the base and we got the fire. Did they import? I feel like they're not importing. Come on. Import. There we go. Now these textures here, they're just some graphics, okay? This is grayscale, right? And it has an alpha channel. So in Photoshop, it's got some transparency. That's all that's going on here. It's just literally a graphic. You can make one of these in any program. Or you could go on the internet and get any image and make it, if you make it grayscale and with alpha transparency, you can use it for your particle effects, which is really cool. So if you wanted a My Little Pony particle effects, okay, you can go flatten out a My Little Pony image, make it black and white, and you can have little My Little Pony particles for your cool My Little Pony game. And then this fire one's just, again, another graphic here, just a little bit of painting, and you know, you could do this with some simple brushes in Photoshop. We just want to kind of use some graphics to make it come to life. That's all. Okay. The lesson's not about creating the sprites in Photoshop. It's about creating the particle effects. So we'll save that for another day. What I want to do is get this camera, okay, pointing inside the Stonehenge instead of pointing at the city, just so we can see maybe what it's actually going to look like in the game. And just want to get a good angle here. Let's rotate the camera slightly. And I'm going to click global to move it along over here. Just move it a little forward a little bit higher. I just clicked the local button. I'm going to rotate it. Again, you don't have to do this exactly how I'm doing it. I just I want to be able to see our particle effect is all. Okay. That looks about right. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with our particle effect. All you have to do to create a particle effect is right-click and go to Particle System. Okay, and I'm going to call this the Fire Base. yeah, or let's just call this the base. Okay, yeah, and it looks really ugly right now, as you can see. It's just spouting out in the air. What's really cool about these particles is it even in your game scene over here, so long as it's selected, it will be running, so you can always kind of see. Let's go to the top view here so we can see exactly where it is. Yeah, it's not quite where we want it to be. There we go. Right about there. And I'm just clicking these perspective or these toggle buttons here. And it looks like it's a little bit low on the ground, right? So let's make it a little bit higher. Yeah, it looks good. I mean, it doesn't look good. It looks quite ugly. But it's good enough for now. Okay, so when you click on your particle effects, and before we start, I just want to let you know we are not even going to cover anywhere close to the amount of things you can do with particle effects. Okay, some companies have developers, or rather employees, whose only job is to create particle effects for the game, and it can get complex. You can build your own shaders, and you can do all kinds of crazy things. We're just scratching the surface. So this video is more about experimentation. I'm going to teach you the basics of the tools. You know where to find them, and then it's all about experimenting. There's no science to this, okay, ladies and gentlemen. This is about art and experimenting, okay? So if the programmer in you wants to scream and wants things to be mathematical and triangles and squares and stuff, there's a little bit more art to it than that here with our particle effects. And so what we want to do is we want to have this cool particle effect where there's this base. You know, it's kind of like fading in, you know, and then maybe have some like fire circling around it, kind of like this evil dark force that the orcs have, you know, they're summoning some creature or something like that. But right now we got snow coming out of the ground, which is not what we want. So since we don't want our particular particle here, the base, to move up, I don't think it should have a start speed, okay? And you can hover over these here and it'll tell you what it's doing. Like the start speed of particles applied in the starting direction, okay? 0. So look, now it's kind of, it's like a blob here, like Frosty the Snowman kind of thing here, okay? Which also lets me know that it wasn't quite positioned where we wanted it. Maybe like right about there. It's okay for now. All right, so there's our little white blob. We're getting closer, but got more work to do. So notice how there is a bunch of them, like it's emitting a bunch of particles. We only want one in this case. Why? Because we only want the one base. Okay, so I'm going to change this emission here. So I click the emission tab. Emission is like how much it's emitting. You know, like you go to California and get your emissions or your smog check in your car to make sure it's not emitting too much junk. Same thing. So we're going to make it emit less. We're going to put a nice filter on here. Okay. Oh, look at that. It's nice and ugly still. But we're getting there. We're getting there. Scroll down over to renderer. Specifies how the particles are rendered, how they appear to the player or in the game. Okay. Render mode. Give it to me. Defines the render mode of a particular renderer. Now, I'm not going to cover all these and what they do. Again, that's not what this lesson's about. However, the Unity 3D documentation has fantastic info on every single one of these, which is really cool. In our case, the one that I felt looked best, and I played around with a few of these, was the horizontal billboard. It made it flat, okay? And flat is what we want for this first texture that we have not imported just yet. And you're probably thinking at this point, like, this is the stupidest, dumbest thing I've ever seen. Well, if that's what you're thinking, I'm going to fix it for you right now. So I'm going to save this. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a new folder called Materials. Materials. And in this folder, I'm going to create a new material. So right click and go to Create. And we're going to say Material. And we're going to call this one Fire Base. Okay. And instead of the shader being standard, what I want to do is set the shader to Particles and Additive. Okay. Now, I'm not going to pretend to be a shader expert. There are actually people who spend their entire job every day writing code for shaders, okay? All of these shaders here, such as, you know, particles, additive, alpha blended, and such, these are official terms that you might find in other programs as well too, such as Photoshop or Maya or 3D Studio Max, where they have different materials and blending. And I can't profess to know what every single one of them means. I do know that the additive shader usually fits best in most cases with a lot of these particles that you'll be creating. But you can play around with these to see the different looks and feels that they're going to give to your particles. And that's the best I can say, is you need to experiment. Okay. Me as a developer, I'm more so heavy on the coding side, being a programmer, whereas other people are more on the art and design side of Unity 3D. And some teams, again, have people who focus only on level design, only on lighting, only on shaders and materials. And as an indie developer, you kind of have to get a general sense of all these things, and you're not probably going to memorize everything because Unity is so huge. But this is how you change your shaders. And so we wanted particles additive. Okay, so there is our material. And what I want to do with this material still selected is I want to drag the base into that material. Okay? And then lastly, let's go find our material, which is here in the bottom right, and drag it onto the base. Okay, and as you can see, if I select the base, okay, we've got 4 particles here, kind of look like snowflakes, and you're probably still thinking it only looks dumb, but we're going to fix it so it only shows 1. If we go over here to our particle system, notice how max particles is 1,000. Okay, we're going to set that to 2. And the reason why we're going to set it to 2 is because we're going to have them kind of overlapping on top of each other to kind of create this this overlay effect. It'll be cool once we get there. I was playing around with it and it looked really nice. And we also want to turn off the shape. Okay, we don't care about the shape of this at this point in time because we're using a graphic here. Okay, so now it's looking a little bit better. It's here in the middle, as you can see. It's a little bit small, and I think it was too high in the ground, so put it right about there. And it's a little bit small, right? So we can actually change the size of it so it covers a larger area. So up here at the top in the base, let's go look at the start size. Let's try 4. Ooh, there we go. That's looking kind of nice. Let's move it over a little bit. Yeah, look at that. A nice demonic aura. Okay, so this is coming together. And what I also want to do is I want to add a little bit of life to it. Okay, so let's go over here to size over lifetime, turn it on, and let's double click this graph bar here. Okay, and it opens this thing up here, which you can make bigger. And I'm going to select a pre-laid out slope here, like so. And what I want it to do is I just kind of want it to grow from a medium. I don't want it to grow from 0 up to large. I kind of want it to grow from a medium size over to large, like so. Okay, I like that. And then what I want to do is I want to turn on color over lifetime. And I want it to kind of start off with alpha. So what I'm going to do is just put click here a few times. This is kind of the gradient of color that you want. And on the first node here, we're going to start it at 0. The second one, we'll put it right about here. Okay, this 99 alpha. The third one, it's getting a little stronger. And then the fourth and fifth are, of course, the final result that are fully opaque, which is really cool. And as you can see, it's kind of pulsing now. I don't know if you saw that or not. Looks kind of nice. And then let's go ahead and give it some rotation. So I'm going to scroll down over here to rotation over lifetime. Okay, and if these are kind of self-explanatory, like how long over the lifetime do you want it to rotate? How long over the lifetime of a particle do you want it to be colored or alpha? Things like that, okay? And let's go ahead and set the rotation over lifetime. And ooh, look at that. It's going in circles. It's so cool. I like that a lot, actually. I think maybe I turn the velocity down slightly. Ooh, okay. Now you can kind of see it coming together. What at first you probably thought was ridiculous and ugly is now starting to turn out pretty cool. Well, at least that's what I think. So last thing I want to do here is I want to give it some color. Let's give it some life. White is not a proper color for a demonic aura. Okay. Here I just click the color wheel here, or the color bar, and you can switch between RGB with alpha here, blue and green, or you can go in over here into this other mode, which is not giving me its name. But I like working in this mode because you can set the saturation of a color, which is nice. And so I'm going to go find a nice, a nice reddish orange, kind of like that. Maybe a little more red, a little more orange. There we go. Now let's keep the saturation up. Yeah, I like that. Let's make it right about there. Nice orange color. So now it's really starting to look, scary. This is cool. This is really cool. Make sure you save as you're going through and doing these things. Okay, I like it a lot. The next thing I want to do is kind of create a ring of fire on it, like we're summoning the, the demon, yeah, that's kind of what I want, fire spinning around it. So let's do that next. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a new material again. We already created the base of the fire, but let's actually create the fire material. So create material, and let's just call this fire. And we're going to change its shader to particles, additive. And then we'll go ahead and drag that texture into it, like so. And then over here in the hierarchy, let's create a new component, or excuse me, a new particle system. And we're going to call this fire. And what I want to do is I'm just going to go ahead and make them in the same position. So I'm just going to Command C, Command V, just to be a little more accurate. And they're actually pretty close, it looks like. But I just want them kind of on top of each other. So I'm just copying and pasting the positioning. Of course, we got the ugly snowflake again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag the fire material onto it. That's the base. This fire material onto it like so. Okay, and now we've got these flames coming out. Looks a little bit silly, I know, okay? But we're going to fix it. It's good. The thing about particles is you just keep changing it and changing it and changing it until it looks really, really good. And so first things first is let's look at the start lifetime. It's the start lifetime in seconds. Particle will die when its lifetime reaches 0. Okay, so I'm going to set this at 1. Actually, let's go ahead and give it a random range between two constants. We don't want it always to be the same. So I'm going to set it between 1 and 2. So let's read it again. So lifetime in seconds, particle will die when its lifetime reaches 0. So some particles will be 1 second, and some particles will be up to 2 seconds, and everywhere in between. And it's randomized because we did the randomized between two constants, which is cool. And let's do the same thing with the speed. Okay, random between two constants, and let's put this at 0.5, okay, and 1.5. And as you can see, the changes that we're making are immediately being applied over here to our circle. It's kind of cool. Let's change the sizes on it a little bit here. And by the way, I played around with this until I got a look and feel that just made sense. Okay, and that's what you would do. So as I'm putting numbers in here, it's because I played around with them a little bit, and you can do the same. If you want to change it up, feel free to change it up. I'm going to change the start size between 5 and 10. And I know what you're thinking, like, oh, that's huge. But it's looking a lot more like fire. Notice how since the image is of those sprites are so big now, it kind of is simulating fire better. And we'll fix this in a minute here. I just wanted it to be thicker. I want it to look like real fire. And here's the fun part. Let's go ahead and do a rotation between two constants. And this, let's look at it here. The start rotation of particle in degrees. So we want it to start anywhere between 0 and 360 degrees. Okay, so now it's harder to tell because it's so thick, but it's actually kind of going in a rotation. You can see the things rotating slightly, okay, in a circle shape. Now let's go down to emission and play around with this number as well too. Let's see if we can add some more. Oh yeah, like a fireball. Okay, there's our little fireball. And let's hover over burst and see what it says. Emission of extra particles at specific times during the duration of the system. See, those are like little bursts to give it irregularities. And I do kind of want some irregularities in there. So let's just say 0.01, in between 0.01, min-max 30. This is fine. So this is going to give us some irregularities here, which will make it look nice in the end. Okay, now let's tame this wildfire. let's go to the shape, and let's go ahead and change this into, let's see. So it is a cone, which is good. And instead of emitting from the base, let's emit from a volume shell. Like kind of, well, look at what it's doing here. See how it's kind of a shell? You know, we got a major wildfire going on here. But we can change the length of this. So 1.8. Let's try that for now. And the radius, there we go. Look at this. Check this out. If you ever wondered how to make like a circle of fire, you can do it just like that. Now, obviously, this is too big. So we can bring it in. So we still have a circle here, okay? It's just a little bit large right now is all. And I think we can fix that. We can make it less large. Okay? So let's go look at our sizing. Between 5 and 10. What if I said between 1 and 2? Or how about between 5 and 8? Okay, we can start playing around with it here. I'm not completely happy with. Obviously, it's too thick here, and we want to get it smaller. So we're going to need to make some more adjustments until it feels just right. But the important thing to know is that we've created a circle, and we did that by using a shape of a cone and then a volume shell, which kind of makes it go out, which is nice. Let's just try changing the entire scale of it all together. And we can do that up here at the top. We can say, let's try 0.13, 0.13, 0.13. It's a little bit small, right? So let's actually say 0.5, 0.5, and 0.5. Getting closer, let's say 0.3, 0.3, 0.3. Let's zoom in here. So we still got our little fire pit. It's just a little bit wide right now. But I think the scale is a lot better. I really do. And then let's go down here to our, where was our shape? Okay, and we got the radius here. I still want that ring of fire, like so. Okay, so this is a little bit better. Look at this. We got a ring of fire. It's hovering around our pit. Oops. Let's click our fire here. So it's going around our pit. It's just really thick right now, right? And so let's do some of the similar things that we did before. Let's go ahead and give it a color over lifetime, like a real fire might. Just add a few points here. And the first one will be 0 on alpha, and the second one a little higher, and the third one a little higher, kind of like that. Which what it means is it's going to start off faded and kind of get stronger, which is really good. And then let's go ahead and say, what else do we want to do? How do you think it's looking so far? Actually, I think should we try rotating just for fun? Rotation over lifetime. I kind of like that. Kind of gives it some life. I'm gonna move it down slightly. Ooh, this is cool. I like it. Let's make it a little more transparent in our color over lifetime. What if we just kind of make it a lot more transparent here towards the end as well too. Just lighten it a little bit so we can see it better. Yeah, what if we move it down more, like into the ground? That is kind of cool. I'm liking this a lot. And let's go to the base here again. Okay, it's moving, right? It's doing its thing. I don't think it's the right color anymore, since this one's a nice fiery color. So let's go change this color. Let's maybe do like a yellow, a bright yellow. Or how about a purple? What do you think? Purple? We could, of course, also change the... we could have it change colors over lifetime too, like from different colors if we wanted. Green. That's kind of cool. Let's leave it at green for now. It's a nice green look to it. This is awesome. I'm curious if I turn off the directional light. Let me look at that. Let's just play it for a second. Summoning the demon orc. Whatever. So this is cool. So what have we done so far here? We've created a a base using a graphic that spins around. This is a particle, by the way. It's really cool and fairly cheap on the computationally cheap for a game, which is kind of cool. And then the fire, which is just using a bunch of those images that we made, which is kind of cool as well too. Yeah, this is awesome. So this is kind of the basics of working with particles. Let's finish this up by creating a new empty game object. Not on the light, come on. Let's delete that. Let's try this again. Let's create a new empty object here. And let's just call this pit summoner. I don't know. And we'll take both of these and we'll just place it here on the pit summoner. And then what we'll do is we'll create a new folder here called prefabs. And then we'll just drag that in there so we can use it whenever we want. Okay, so we play the game, and here it is. It's pretty nice. What do you think? Cool stuff? Wasn't that hard. I mean, we fumbled around a little bit, but that's how you work with particles. So that's it for now. Mark Price at devslopes.com. We're doing really freaking cool stuff, and yeah, you should go show this off to people. Awesome. See you next time.